Awesome. Well, hello and welcome to Circuit Stream's Game Design Pitch Day. Today we are celebrating the graduation of our game design students from the February 2024 cohort, graduates 25. Today's event features several industry professionals who are really keen to hear from student pitches, and several of our recent graduates from the Game Design Bootcamp, and lots of members from the community and public who are excited to see what the next generation of game designers is up to. Okay, so a few things before we begin. I just want to remind everybody that today's event will be approximately 2 hours, though only our partners and presenters can go up on stage to speak. But if you are in the audience today, you're welcome to participate in the chat and feel free to ask questions, give comments, feedback, or whatever else. And throughout the pitches, we will be playing some embedded YouTube videos, and they will be played at full volume on our end, but just be prepared to adjust your volume on your own computer as we play the slides, and the volume will vary between videos. And lastly, just a reminder to our guest speakers, please make use of the moderator chat for internal comments and the general chat for anything else. Okay, let's get started. So I just want to start by introducing myself. I'm Tia. I'm the lead career coach here at Circuit Stream, and it's such a pleasure to host this event and introduce the students and their projects because I know how hard they've been working. And my role is to support the students in building job-ready portfolios, mastering the job search process, and just showing up with clarity and confidence while connecting with our employers. And I also do work closely with our internal team to ensure that students are showcasing their strongest selves and that our events really highlight the incredible talent that we have in our community. Go ahead, Manor.
Hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Mahnoor, and I am the Partnership Development Specialist here. My goal ultimately is to get job seekers in our career programs closer to helping them land their jobs, help their professional networks, and essentially get them hired. We have several guests here today from very different tech companies across the country, and some of them are hiring managers, some have more technical game design related roles, but essentially my hope is to make sure that this serves as an opportunity for our students to connect, network, and chat about the gaming industry.
Okay, thank you so much, Manur. This is kind of our schedule for today. This is in Mountain Time. But yeah, I start off and I kick off the event. We will also do partner introductions. So I'll get some of our guest speakers to speak out on stage and tell us a little bit about what they do and what their journeys have looked like. And then I'll introduce what the capstone project entails. And then the graduate pitches will begin, and we'll get each of the students up on stage introducing their project, and then we will wrap up in the last 5 minutes. So I just want to provide some background on Circuit Stream. So Circuit Stream began in 2015 through a network of developers, designers, creators, and now we're a leading provider of technology education in game development and game design, product management, software development. And our primary goal is just to provide future-proofed and industry-relevant skills to folks that are looking to pivot into tech, that are looking to upskill and learn about the technical aspects of the industries. Our secondary goal here is to prepare our bootcamp graduates for jobs in their preferred industry through events, through one-to-one connections, and engaging with our extensive network of employer partners. Since our start in 2015, we've educated over 50,000 learners globally, and we're constantly updating our curriculum to stay ahead of the curve. So very exciting things happening all the time. And Circuit Stream is also educational partners with several top universities across North America to provide technology education for both youth and adult learners as well. In parallel to these technical programs, Circuit Stream offers an optional career program as well, which I've been facilitating to our bootcamp students. And this program provides ongoing support for students who are excited to start the job hunting process after graduating and to make sure that they're fully prepared to find a new job. And through this program, we're really committed to supporting our students with their careers, with their personal development, and we take lots of pride in providing opportunities to connect our learners with industry partners and networks. So for the businesses that are in attendance today, that are in the audience, we're looking to expand our network of employers and who we reach out to for events, for talent opportunities, and more. So if this is something that you're interested in and you're interested in joining our talent network, please reach out to us. Our email is on the slide. Okay, so it is now time for our amazing guest speakers to introduce themselves. I'm always so excited to talk to them and to be able to hear their feedback and insight. And we really value that you've come here today and are not going to share your wisdom with the students. So partners, when I call you up on stage, I'll call you up individually and you can give us a rundown of where you work, what you do, and a little bit about your background so far in your career, and anything else that you'd really like to share with our presenters today. So first up, we have Amit. Amit, can you please join the stage and tell us a little bit about yourself? Amit is just joining the stage. Amit, I'm so sorry, but you're on mute.
Oh,
Perfect, you got it.
sorry about that. Hey everyone, I'm Amit. I'm a senior game designer. I've been designing and developing games in the industry for about 15 years now. I've made games on almost all platforms: PC, mobile, console, anything you name it. It's just something genuinely satisfying to see the world and stories you imagine can come to life in games. And that's what drives my interest and passion. Um, I also help advise and basically mentor designers and developers who are trying to get into the industry and or just want to build games. So if you're one of them, feel free to reach out. I'm on LinkedIn, and we can just talk. Cheers.
Thank you so much for sharing, Amit. We really appreciate you coming and sharing with our speakers. Okay, let's go to our next esteemed guest, who is Stefani from Epic Games. Can you please come up on stage and introduce yourself?
Hi. Okay, is my mic working?
Yes, it is.
Great. I'm always good care of that. Hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm a UX game designer at Epic Games. I work on Lego Fortnite. I've been at Epic for 2.5 years now, I think. Before that, I was a game designer at Ubisoft Montreal. I think I've been a game designer for like 6 years now, I think. Time is a weird concept in this industry. So before that, I was working in QA. My path in games is a bit different. I was already working at Ubisoft when I became a game designer with them by just going back to school to study game design while doing QA. So yeah, I work on Lego Fortnite. I do a lot of systems design, from menus to also gameplay stuff, but always very user experience centric. And yeah, you can also find me on LinkedIn. So if you want to talk shop, you want to talk about the industry, I got a lot of help from other developers and other designers when I started. So I'm trying to give back some of my time. Yep.
Awesome. We really appreciate you being here. So thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, we'll get you up on stage to talk to you guys soon. Okay, let's go to our next guest speaker, which is B. Can you please join the stage and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, everyone. Pardon me. My name is B. Capitan, and it is such a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited about seeing some real creativity. I am an alum from Circuit Stream. In 2023, I took the the XR design and prototyping, which I really loved, and it really ignited my passion for how I'm moving forward. I've been in tech for a long time. I started out as a web designer in the early 2000s, and I did that for many years. I had some incredible clients, universities, pharmaceutical companies, and then I pivoted to interactive publishing. I made books especially for the iPad, and that was really a lot of fun. I got to immerse my love for books and design with interactivity. And as we know, you can't use those books on a Kindle. And so I'm pivoting it again, and I'm really excited. Right now, my agency, here's my pitch. We transform how destination engage with visitors through immersive expert experiences. And so we're targeting whiskey distilleries with mascots. And I just finished this week putting in my pitch deck to attend a builders kind of a hackathon in Brussels through XR United in Europe. It's going to be in December, so it's a really big opportunity. And there's so much gamification in XR, so it's a big part of how we engage people and provide them value at the same time, even if that value is just a laugh. And so I'm really excited. I do also mentor young developers, female ones, and designers. So I'm also on LinkedIn. So I don't look at my website today. All of a sudden, I found out that they switched the servers on me, so I have to update it anyway. But I'm really excited, and I'm really active on Twitter, so you can find me at Interactive. So I look forward to seeing everybody, and thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much, B. We're really excited to have you here too. So thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so those are our guest speakers for today. I know that we're really excited to hear from them, and we really appreciate you attending again. I wanted to touch a little bit on the Game Design Bootcamp so that I can go over what we actually do here. The Game Design Bootcamp is a 30-week intensive program where students explore every stage of the game creation process, from concept development to player experience. And they're not just learning design theory, they're building interactive prototypes, they're collaborating in teams, they're gaining hands-on experience that's, shaping gameplay, levels, systems, user interfaces, all of that stuff. And throughout the program, they receive continuous career support as well, mentorship, one-on-one guidance to help them transition confidently into the industry. So they've been working hard. And at the end of their boot camp, every student was challenged to bring their creative vision to life, from concept to polished prototype. And the goal was to design a compelling and playable experience that showcases their design thinking, their storytelling, their artistic direction. So whether they've worked individually or in teams, they applied every single thing that they learned from levels and systems and player experience and iteration to produce a cohesive game concept that's ready for industry feedback. And they only had 4 weeks to do this. So I know if they had more time, they would absolutely kick it out of the park. So they've just done an amazing job with the time that they've had. And I'm very excited for everyone in the audience to see all of that hard work. So Pitch Day is the highlight of the program. It's where all of the creativity, strategy, design thinking comes to life. And over the past 30 weeks, the students have imagined and designed, but today they'll be walking you through their projects. They'll share their inspirations, their design processes, challenges, and what they've learned along the way. This event isn't just about presenting a game. It's really just about showcasing storytelling, problem solving, collaboration and the kind of innovation that drives the future of game design. So we're really excited for you to experience their creativity and see their incredible potential each of them brings to the world of game design. So we will be seeing 7 pitches today. We have 6 individual pitches. We have 1 group of 3, and it's going to be 7 minutes to pitch and 7 minutes of Q&A afterwards. So we'll just have the student up on stage when they're presenting their pitch, and afterwards I will be inviting the guest speakers to come up and share their feedback and ask their questions, and that is kind of the flow that we'll be following, and this is the order that we have our pitch sessions in today. So firstly, I will be inviting Josh to come up on stage and introduce Sightline.
Hello.
Hi, Josh. Start whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm excited to present to you my project Sightline. It's a science fantasy stealth RPG built in Unreal Engine 5.6. It's kind of been my way of mastering Unreal as a designer, from AI logic and level design to modular scripting. My name's Joshua Lucas Boyle, and I'm a game designer passionate about creating meaningful, emotionally grounded experiences. So before stepping fully into game design, a bit of my background, I spent nearly 18 years working in medical information technology and logistics. So I'm used to having precision and systems thinking being part of my daily routine. I also hold a BA in English literature, which gave me a strong foundation in emotional pacing and how I think about themes. These are ideas and influences that directly shape my design philosophy. Outside of development, I'm passionate about bouldering and escape rooms. I'm big on puzzle solving and cooperative challenges. Next slide, please. So for my game, I've had 3 core concepts for design philosophy. The design philosophy behind Sightline is stealth first, where the tension grows from visibility, sound, and player control. Replayability, so built through compact arenas that encourage multiple approaches. And the encounter variety with enemies, so they force players to adapt and rethink their tactics every time. Next slide. The core loop of Sightline follows a 4-step rhythm: plan, infiltrate, adapt, and escape. So players end up studying patrol routes, they plan their approach, they use stealth to infiltrate these spaces, and if discovered, they can improvise with movement and timing to regain control before escaping safely. Each phase is meant to have its own pacing, so there's calm in planning, tension of infiltration, chaos when everything goes wrong and you have to adapt, and then relief when you finally escape. Sightline places the player in a fractured science fantasy city where every patrol path, shadow, and vantage point is meant to communicate risk and opportunity. I want it to guide players organically towards the solutions, alternate solutions, and hidden objectives. So the features, every feature in Sightline reinforces this stealth and adaptability. Players navigate interactive environments, trying to collect keys near panels and take vertical routes for creative infiltration. The levels follow a linear progression through multi-route arenas designed to be replayable. And as the game scales, the enemy mechanics evolve towards a final boss encounter that ties every system that you've learned together. I'm going to introduce you next to the enemies in the game. These are the enemies of Sightline. They're designed to make encounters feel distinct and tactical. We have enforcers, which apply close range pressure. We have sentinels that control space with range fire and long distance. And then we have dream walkers who use teleportation and magic meant to disorient and flank the player. Each enemy type is designed to demand a different strategy, ensuring that every encounter feels deliberate and different. My inspirations for this, I kind of drew on some big titles, Dishonored, Deus Ex, and Metal Gear Solid. These are all AAA stealth games, but also have elements of combat and adapting, and they reward observation and player intent. So my goal was to kind of build a stealth in the same vein that doesn't punish mistakes, but it rewards recovering and keeping players engaged through adapting and dynamic combat rather than restarting a level. Here's a short look at Sightline in action, highlighting stealth AI behavior and the core gameplay systems that drive the experience.
restricted area. Leave now.
I hope that looked cool. On screen right now, you see the challenges and takeaways I've had in this project. Scope was one of my earliest challenges. I had to kind of move on from my first prototype, which was an overscope project with a bloated GDD, but I was able to salvage mechanics such as an interaction system and utilize it for Sightline in the end. So this experience kind of taught me how to focus on a clear playable core that I can iterate on quickly, how to actually have a playable game at the end. Another challenge was making the systems, the interaction system, damage, the AI logic, and like even the projectiles communicate to each other reliably. That process really kind of shifted how I design. I'm thinking more now in like systems and their dependencies rather than isolated features. Finally, debugging. There were tons of bugs to work out for every change you made. Everything from invisible collisions to looping VFX helped me understand different aspects of Unreal. And I learned that every bug kind of allowed me to master different tools more than any tutorial could kind of help me with. Next slide, please. So my next steps for this project, I plan to continue refining Sightline into a polished vertical slice to display in my portfolio. I want to work more on the camera and controls, adding things like crouching and dynamic camera shots. I want to improve visual indicators for enemy alert states so you know when they see you, strengthen the player feedback a little bit. Professionally, I'm excited to bring what I've learned into a collaborative studio environment. I'm currently seeking internships or junior design opportunities where I can continue honing my craft and contribute to gameplay and systems design within a professional team. And finally, thanks for your time and attention. This was really cool. I was excited to present it to you guys. You can reach me at my email, connect on LinkedIn, and follow any game development on itch.io. So thanks.
Great job, Josh. That was so exciting to watch. Every time I watch your demo video, I get so pumped. I want to play your game. That's awesome. I will now get all of the guest speakers to come up on stage, and you'll have 7 minutes to talk to Josh and give him some feedback and ask him some questions.
Yeah, I mean, we can start. I took a lot of notes, and I wish I could see your slides again because I know a lot of things that I'm like, oh, I need to say that and that, but then I can't remember. What you showed at the end, it's a lot of work. That's very, very cool. I know it's no small feat. That's awesome. I would say when you present your information in your pitch deck, when you showed the gameplay at the end, I was a bit shocked because I was fully expecting like a roguelite experience, because that's, to me, this is what you sold me. So maybe it's still what it is, but especially you talked a lot about like the how it's replayable, the differences in enemies, and so you're gonna have like a lot of. I expected something procedural. I thought that's what you were gonna say at some point. I was expecting the word procedural to come up. That's not really a big deal, but it's really like the way you present the information. It's yeah, I was not expecting something linear, but I don't think it reflects on your actual gameplay. It's more like the way you pitch it. You should let the information breathe a bit more, because it was a lot, and it would be easier. Like we can all get in contact after, and I can look at the slides again and give like specific feedback. But it was a lot of. I was expecting to see like a header and then just like specific points, but I was spending so much time looking at everything that was everywhere on the slide to like figure out, trying to read it as you were saying it, that it was hard to like figure it out. Maybe that's why I misunderstood a bit what the product was. But I do think your pitch is very solid, and you seem to hit like all the points that I would expect to know from a pitch. But you don't even need to fall into like the granularity of like what each enemy is and everything. Just like keep it really high level. Your gameplay is going to speak for itself. And yeah, I don't want to take too much time, so I'm going to let the others.
Right. Yeah, I'll go next if that's okay. So the first thing that I realized is that you highlighted your character very well in all these slides, and that's really good. I think players connect with the persona, the character that you show. So almost every game will have some iconic character that you can immediately connect to. So that's good. Keep highlighting your character. You described it as it was one of your design pillars, stealth and combat. And I've noticed within the gameplay, it's leaning more towards combat. I didn't see many stealth elements in the game. And when you talk about stealth, I would actually think of Hitman and Splinter Cell. Even if it has combat mechanics in it, it encourages players to play completely stealth. I mean, the missions are like, don't kill anyone, don't get detected, and just complete the levels. So I think your game is leaning more towards combat, probably because you want to showcase, you want to highlight all the mechanics that you have created. So maybe think about that, like how you want to shape it later on. One of the slide I saw, that was where you were describing the backstory, and it was a bit disconnected. I agree with what Stephanie said, that the presentation is a bit chaotic, but I was hooked till the point where I think you were telling about the backstory. I feel like it can come first, and then you can lean into the other things. It's a good, ambitious concept. I really liked it overall. And you have created so many elements in the game for the demo, so that's really great. If this is an in-game music, I feel like it doesn't really match, to be honest. I mean, again, I was expecting more of a stealth experience, and the music will set the mood. So if you want to deliver a stealth experience, you need to rethink the music. This was more like an epic battle sword fight kind of music. So there was a mismatch. And yeah, I totally agree about the lessons that you have learned. You mentioned that keeping the scope really small and achievable, ship small, learn fast. So that's a really good point. Keep doing that. you can build small features and then just improve upon them as you go. But shaping, delivering, and then giving it in the player's hand is a lot more important.
Mhm. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. I'll leave it to the next one.
Well, there's ditto on a lot of things. Yeah. First of all, I want to congratulate you on producing what you have in this short amount of time. Because I know if we had more time, we usually would tweak some of the things that we're really proud of. One of the things that impressed me is I really wasn't expecting that hollow deck kind of um, uh, uh, tunnel. So that, I thought that was really cool. I do have to agree with a few things. There is a little bit of a mismatch. I really like your pitch deck. I love the mood and what you're, I think that's what it is, because I'm a designer at heart. Is it was giving me such a really great mood and undertone. So when I expected something very similar and it didn't kind of go there a little bit. One of the things that confused me a little bit was I think of this as kind of like another planet dimension kind of beautiful eerie thing, and then I saw like kind of a game machine or something. There was some, I don't know what it was. It looked like a video game, like something from an arcade perhaps. It was like maybe a check-in terminal sort of thing, but my association went to like Mario Brothers or something else, not of that, but just something from the 80s that you would see in an arcade. I'm just curious if you had any Easter eggs that you were going to consider adding. And I just want to say back to the music, I would probably go something more low, even I'm thinking pan flutes or something.
Right.
I don't know if that's right, but maybe for certain scenes. But I'm just curious about the, sorry, I jumped ahead, I asked the question and then I said something else, but I am curious about any Easter eggs that if you thought of putting those in.
Yeah, I think there's a lot I would add to it. Like, first of all, thanks for the feedback, everyone. Like, honestly, on point. I think like one of the big things that I was trying to do was like capture what made the game cool and fun, which was a lot of the more actiony elements than the stealth elements. And I really wanted to showcase that like at the end of the day, this was like a learning process. Like I was learning different tools and how to do different things in Unreal. So a lot of that kind of shone through the combat. As far as adding Easter eggs and things, yeah, I was kind of limited. I used mostly fab assets and free assets for everything. So that might be what came across as like a Mario console or that you've seen. I tried to make it kind of sci-fi and futury, but yeah, I don't know. The story just kind of organically grew as I was like creating it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you so much, guest speakers. I know that all of the advice and feedback and questions you asked are so important for our students. So thank you so much. I will get everybody to exit the stage now, and I would like to welcome our next speaker, who is Matthew. Matthew, can you come and join the stage? Okay, perfect. Start whenever you're ready. Matthew will be talking about the joining of Findoran.
Hello, and welcome to the Joining of Findoran, a high fantasy action adventure. My name is Matthew Creamy, and I am an aspiring game designer. My interests include philosophy, history, and mythology, as well as short story writing. The Joining of Findoran contains a unique narrative with gameplay elements that combine in a novel way, enticing the player. The game provides the opportunity for rewarding exploration coupled with novel storytelling. The flavor of this world, the struggle between magic and logic, is something fresh and new and will set the Joining of Findoran apart from related titles. Findo is a Latin word meaning to cleave or to split. In the world of Findoran, this split is between the forces of magic and the forces of logic. The goal is to bring the world together, joining the split world of Findoran. The goddess of magic has been injured by the forces of logic. This has caused the magic and natural order of the world to become dysfunctional. Our hero must find the key to the dungeon, to find the Potion of Source and heal the Goddess of Magic. Players will begin in the tutorial zone next to the dungeon. In this starting region, players will explore, looking for pickups which will buff the character, and more importantly, will search for the key to the dungeon. Upon death, the player will be brought back to the tutorial zone. This combines elements of classic adventure with aspirations to include a roguelike style. It is my design philosophy that players should be given choice of playstyle, with each playstyle feeling unique and dominant in its own niche aspect. If this means limiting features, then so be it. I want each playstyle to be the meta in its own way. This title has 4 major design pillars: exploration, aesthetic, narrative, and combat. Each pillar must work together to hold the structure of the game up and provide a memorable and lasting experience. Players will firstly engage with the tutorial level to learn the basics. This includes instructions on controls, basic gameplay concepts, as well as introductory combat. The game will include a dungeon which the player must explore. The dungeon is a free play adventure in which the player is given little instruction. The game will draw players in with its charming aesthetic and familiar gameplay loop. This game is similar to the original Legend of Zelda, Zelda: A Link to the Past, and is intended to relate to roguelike games such as Hades or Death Must Die. The target audience is those with a love for retro game styles. The game may hit the nostalgia factor for some, or may be completely novel for younger generations. It is for people with a love of high fantasy, people who enjoy a moderate challenge with rewarding gameplay mechanics, and will focus on storytelling and exploration. Rated E for everyone. Here, I would like to provide a production timeline beginning in September. I wanted to have completed the tutorial level, the main systems and mechanics of the game, a dungeon, and work on polish and balance of existing features. Next, by November, I would like to have a variety of maps added to the game, each with their own climate or biome, and increase the number and variety of enemies, in-game puzzles, and new spells and weapons. For 2026, in January, I would like to have doors or portals which teleport the user to a random zone, adding a roguelike element to the gameplay. Here I've provided some information on related titles, the genre, units sold, and price. As you can see, similar titles have done very well. It is a genre that will continue being popular. Now I would like to show you a demo of my game. Hello, and welcome to the joining of Findoran. To begin, I needed to find an appropriate mesh for my pickups and get those working, which was a relatively simple task. Further, I had to get the resource bars up and running and needed to make sure the correct amount of resources was being drained by the appropriate attack. What was more difficult was getting the sword and the fireball to work. I had a complication with the sword where it would trace from a point on the map instead of being in front of the sprite. Also, for the fireball, I needed to make it so that it would fire when my sprite turned. There was an issue in which the resource bar would drain, but not fire when resource was low. I fixed it so that nothing drained inappropriately and everything fired as intended. Getting the animations to work in general was a difficult process. There was at one point an issue where the character would glide after playing an animation. I solved the problem by making a state machine to seamlessly transition between animations. I worked to get the key to unlock the door, and it created a new map as well as a new enemy. I had some difficulties with getting the enemy to fire their projectile. One issue was that the dagger projectiles would glide over my character. I fixed this by constraining the enemy and projectile to the plane the player was on. Upon enemy death, I added a loot component. I was able to make it so that the enemy drops a random assortment of the items in the game. Finally, I added a simple win condition so the player can feel victorious. You must discover the Potion of Source. Thank you. Each iteration of this game has come with its challenges. There's always some unforeseen issue to overcome. I treat it as though solving a puzzle, and the reward is definitely worth it. This demo was a result of all my hard work, and I plan to improve my game in the days to come. Some challenges I faced included getting all the animations to play seamlessly, getting the fireball to only deal damage when facing the enemy, and making it so the sword fires in front of the enemy, in front of the sprite, and not to a random location. I have certainly learned a lot from this experience. I believe my skills in critical thinking and analysis has helped me problem solve when working with Unreal Engine 5. In some ways, the engine is like a logic puzzle, which I used to do in school, and follows a recognizable path. Through my learning in this course, coupled with past experience, I've been able to make something fun and functioning. Thank you for your time, and please enjoy your stay in the land of Findoran. You can get in touch here.
Thank you so much, Matthew. That was so much fun to watch. And thank you so much for that pitch. You did amazing. Let's get the guest speakers now to join the stage, and then you can begin your 7 minutes of feedback and Q&A.
I'm going to let someone go before me because I took all the time last time.
Right. I think I'll start this time. Yeah. All right. That was a really good presentation, Matthew. I like the whole concept of your game, but I do have a number of points that I want to share. So first of all, there's an idea called show don't tell, and this is kind of I feel like this is missing a lot in your presentation and in your demo as well. Just let your game talk. The presentation has a lot of text, which honestly I'm not going to read, and you have the screenshots and GIFs in the presentation, but it's like in a corner, very small, and I would put that. I would give it a lot more space and just have a few bullet points mentioned, which if you're giving a presentation, you would describe it, you would talk about it yourself, but not have it written in the presentation itself. So yeah, I want to see more, not read through it. And the same thing will apply to your demo video. The commentary didn't really help me immerse into the experience. I was distracted by what you were trying to tell me, and even like I can see there are tutorial texts, text boxes that were showing up, and they were also very long. So the instructions really need to be like very short, quickly. The player can read them quickly and just move on. Again, players want to play and have the experience, not to read through it. So there's that. Pitching is same as storytelling. Your presentation needs to tell the story about your game, and that will hook the reader or the listener. Next, I think, yes, you mentioned you did a good market research. I think that's really good. One thing is missing is that you need to look into how many gameplay hours, how many content hours each game is offering. That also really justifies the price that you're paying for. I think that's about it. Oh yes, one last thing. You mentioned the challenges you faced, but I realized that you didn't describe any design challenges in it. It was more of a development challenges, like this thing didn't work and you had some bugs and issues. That's all fine, but it did not tell me if you faced any design challenges in creating your concept, coming up with your idea, or anything like that. Yeah, so that's all feedback from my end. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I can go. Amit got a lot, like hit a lot of points that I added in my notes, and that's why I said you looked at my notes, but I know you didn't copy. It's fine. It's your game looks really cool. First of all, great use of the engine. Honestly, I'm a sucker for that style of game. It looks very cool. But it was both like in presentation, it was both too high level and too precise at the same time. What I mean by that is that you seem to have a very solid grasp on your lore. You said that you write a lot. You have a lot, like you mentioned high fantasy. Like you have a lot of ideas in your head of what your world and your systems and your gameplay is, but I didn't see any of it. And I know it's there because you care deeply about that. Um, when you pitch something like that, it's why it's called a pitch, right? Like oftentimes we call it an elevator pitch, where you have one elevator ride in length to pitch your game to someone. So if you have like those 8 seconds to pitch your game to someone, you're not going to tell them, oh, this game is a high fantasy game and it does what other fantasy games have not done before. No, you're like, I don't want to know that. I want to know what it does specifically. So I would have loved to hear more about the relationship between your different systems. When I say systems, I mean like your design systems, what or your magic system is like, and it's very close to what you show in a game design document, where you need to get straight to the point and talk like very like bullet point, very specifically what your systems are, instead of saying like, oh, I would like it to be like in Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, like this specific combat system. No, like you're gonna just go like point by point specifically what it does. I would have loved to see more of that. Yeah, that's it.
Matthew, I really enjoyed watching your presentation, and I really can appreciate. I did my first presentation pretty much like you did, and that's okay. It's okay. You know why? Because you got it out of the way. And then when you know better, you do better, and you're doing great. I wanted to just add some real nice things about what I felt that you did. I have a kind of a list of pre-questions that I'm kind of things I'm looking for, and I really liked how you could have somebody test their skills and learn without frustration. I thought that was really good, like the onboarding, and then. I guess I also really I'm a interaction junkie. I would say I really think that you need audio, the interaction, and the combination of visuals. And so I really like your combination of interactivity, the little chimes that you used, and all of that. Like so nice, really good. Like it's what I expect, and you deliver, and it's all clean and it's not muddy. Sometimes people play things too long and it's not effective. And then it seemed like a lot of a part of your game was like short-term goals for little quick wins at the beginning in terms of your gameplay. I could have be wrong. I'm not the expert. These other folks are in terms of that, and knowing how that pacing works. But I wanted to just say one other thing. When you're characters are encountering each other, I noticed that there's little boards that come up with some text. Do your best to shorten them down as much as you possibly can, because it's very hard for some people who might be on the spectrum who would probably love your game, but it would probably take away from that. I have people in my family like that who are hardcore game players and stuff like that. So it kind of diverts your attention for a second, even though it might be engaging and helping you to the next level. I think keywords of like how help them along or whatever it is, that the emotion that you're trying to interject into them. I guess the only thing I was curious about is that kind of a beater board or community thing, if that was something you were thinking about. And just one other thing before I'll just finish is I really appreciated the fact that you did your marketing because that's my background. It's got to make some money. And the fact that you know who your competitors are, I think is very valuable. But you've got to, what has been said before, is you've got to look at how that goes into the mix and how you incorporate it. Like you got to shine that light. And I just want to say, fill the frame with your beautiful game. Like, don't hide it in a little corner. It deserves to have eyes on it. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your feedback, our guests. We really appreciate it. And Matthew, thank you so much for such a fantastic pitch. We will now move to our next guest speaker, who is Marco. Marco will be talking about his game, Floors. Marco, can you please join the stage?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Hello, my name is Mark Giswaldo, and this is my capstone pitch for my game Floors. A little bit about myself. I've always been into computer science and technology and video games, even hardware too. I just also want to add on, I've built multiple computers as well in the past. But to get back to the main talking point, video games, for video games, I want to do development. I was curious at the age of 9 years old. I found out about Unreal when I was 10, Unreal Engine. Another fact about me is I'm into older games, retro games. I consider myself an enthusiast. So yeah. About Floors. In Floors, you explore in a abandoned building with multiple floors, solving puzzles to activate the elevator and hopefully escape. The gameplay is first-person experience with the environmental puzzles, immersion, light horror element, and storytelling. I'm the game designer, and the game's platform is for PC, Microsoft Windows. Next. Why Floors? Age, preteen, 12 and up, young adults, player interest, puzzle solving, atmosphere, exploration, horror, thriller, with a little bit of story-driven gameplay and immersion. The goal for this game, if I was to do this full-time with like a publisher, not necessarily AAA, just a publisher, I do consider this indie. I would say 4 months, 7 days a week, estimate budget of 8,000 Canadian. The goal to deliver a decent quality, a high-quality indie game for PC. I think this is a fair assessment. Gameplay mechanics in Floors, you walk, run, jump, interact with items. There's no interact button or interact key in the game. You simply interact with stuff by just going up to it and touching it. For tools, there's a flashlight in the game. If you can find it, it helps you see in the dark in the environment. And then there's environmental interactions. You can push crates, move objects, and unlock doors. And then lastly, a last minute feature added was controller support. As of right now, it only works with PS4 controller, but it's there, and I thought that was really cool to add. Gameplay, here are some screenshots. And you can see in the top left, there's the aforementioned flashlight. In the bottom left, there's the elevator, which is the translation between the floors. Top right, you have that's the room you start in, because you start in what appears to be some sort of hotel, and then there's a corridor on the bottom right of another floor. Next slide. Here are some more screenshots. So a big thing with Floors is the immersion and uncanniness and not fully knowing what's going on, and just like the awkwardness of the environment. And I think these screenshots in the game did a really good job at getting that really uncanny and immersion feeling by an unknown factor. And yeah, I think these screenshots really good for that. Next. For the development timeline, so I came up with the main concept in June. I want to do something different from what I've done before. Every game I've done before in the past has some action orientated in it. I want something to be different, something not action and something more immersive. So then by July, I wanted to have a very early prototype going. So because if I had the main system down, then I know I could build out from there. Luckily for myself, I figured it out pretty quickly. It required some heavily blueprint scripting in Unreal, but I solved it. By August, I added more gameplay mechanics, more features into the game, automatic doors, systems and buttons, control panels, and activation. And then in September, that's when the atmosphere and focus on level design immersion really came into play. And then finally in October, I worked on finishing up the game, implementing last minute features, fixing up some bugs, play testing, and adding a sense of polish. Here's a demo. I hope you enjoy. So that was the demo. Takeaways. So takeaways and challenges and what's next for floors. So one challenge I faced while making floors, back in class, we did a play test, multiple play tests, and one of the things was players felt a little bit confused or off, not sure what to do, where to go. I solved this by adding text prompts and light indicators in the game, and this helped gratefully, and I got very positive feedback with that, and that really helped. Another thing I faced was a technical problem. I really wanted this game to have a save feature. It is bigger than all the other games I've created so far, so I wanted a save feature. I had a problem where it wasn't saving properly. I solved this by going back and troubleshooting in the save system component blueprint. I troubleshooted this by going back, looking at the individual nodes and variables. I ended up solving the problem. It was a simple variable, wasn't named properly. So I went back and really analyzed that and fixed it. So if a piece of advice I can give when it comes to programming is just make sure you really look at that in the fine detail. What's next for floors, and even myself, I will definitely take all that I've learned in the creation of floors and all the other games I built to just keep creating something bigger and better every time. I'm excited to think outside the box and step outside my comfort zone. For floors itself, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with floors moving on. I consider this game done. I just want to try and find a job in the industry. At the end of the day, though, my goal is always to create a quality game that people will always like and enjoy and want to play. Thank you. And if you want to get in touch with me, here's my information. And the game is on my itch, which is my portfolio, if you would like to check it out. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marco. I love that trailer. Very spooky and cool. So thank you so much for sharing. I'll get all the guest speakers to come up. We will have the Q&A 5 minutes moving forward just to make some good time, to make sure we end on time today. But yeah, go ahead whenever you're ready.
I'd like to go first. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, because I know that you both are going to have a lot to say. So I just, first of all, I want to say, Marco, great concept. I love the fact that it was exploratory and you had a lot of really cool stuff. The things that got me really excited was it just, I think the prompts were very helpful, as you mentioned, and what you found out from doing your feedback. And you had really nice lighting. And I liked the fact that you could turn the flashlight off and off. And the elevator, that was really cool. I really liked that. And the lighting on the chair in the office, although I felt like, how did I know to go in there if I was the player? But I think the one thing, it was like, I wanted to see something pop out of the floor. And you really teased us with these really cool visuals, and especially one that looked like it had this really cool portal, and I was hoping for that. And so it's like, give us the candy. But I just wanted to say that I'm really, I really like it. I really feel that it appeals to a different audience. And I just wish you the luck. So I know everybody else is going to have some more technical critiques for you, but I just wanted to share the things that I liked and what I was expecting.
Appreciate it.
I don't have any critiques, actually. You have a really clear hook. This is extremely clear to me. I got all the info I needed from your presentation. It was like what I would expect from a pitch. It's not revolutionary, but it works. It's really all that matters. These games, there's like 1,000 of them right now on itch, and I watch every single one of them. I watch streamers play these all the time. There will never be enough of these, so that's not an issue here. What was really, really good that you did is that I love the tutorialization, really cool. And I feel like it shows, your very short demo shows really well that you have a good design thinking, because you do show signs and feedback. Just the elevator switch, for example, it doesn't work, or like the light switch, it doesn't work. You have a camera shake, you have an audio cue on it. Tiny details, but that's invaluable. So no, I feel like it works really well. Good job, man.
Thank you.
Right. All of the above. So, yeah, I also really like the concept, and the suspense horror genre is kind of considered evergreen. All the games really work well in the market and all. I will mention a few things here. First of all, I want to ask you. You mentioned 8,000 for the development cost.
Yes.
Let's quickly dig into that because you have mentioned it. I want to understand what's your thought process behind this. Behind this is.
Oh, like you're asking if I the development costs, so the budget, the money would go obviously towards development to be more specific. So a big thing with development is the actual technical stuff. So like lighting, and I would like to use more high-end like textures and even assets and models. My computer, as of right now, isn't the best. I only get between 40 and 50 frames in the game. I tried optimizing it in terms of graphic settings. In some cases, working with the graphic settings actually made the performance better on my end. So that's what mostly money would go into. And also, like I said, like the art. And I think also the game does have a story as of right now, but I want to say, I'm going to be honest, it's very cliche. I feel either I could freelance a writer or just have someone help me out with that and pay them. That would be a lot better. I don't know. I feel like I just need the money to get it off the ground a little bit more.
Yep.
So yeah, because there's so many of these. So like she said,
That's why graphics is not an issue then. Low res is absolutely a choice. Like you don't, I wouldn't even go with like better graphics or any like different style than that. I would not even focus on that.
okay.
But either like if that's what you want, like it's absolutely an artistic choice. It's not
I feel I could have gone either way, but I just went with that art style mainly for a technical limitation, but of my computer. But yeah, I get what you're saying 100%. Thank you.
Right. So quickly, I think the previous presenter, Matthew, was it? Yeah, but he's into escape room games. He had mentioned it in his bio, and he's also into storytelling. To work with him, you'll find your story, and you'll also find some levels to create. Quickly, I'll move through the next few points. First of all, you mentioned a no interact key. I feel that from the game designer perspective, this is going to bring some challenges down the road as you build more levels in the game. It's just, to be honest, it's easy to have an interact button so that the player can decide which item to interact with or pick it up or anything. Yeah. So just a small feedback on that. Yes, playtest is the best way to evaluate your game to understand whether it works or not.
Yeah.
However, your concept, your game is very niche. So you make sure you find the right players who enjoy this kind of game to playtest with. If you give it to a casual player or a player with an FPS or racing player, they're going to give a different feedback, and there's going to be a mismatch. So make sure you find the right player to play test your game. Yes, the level design, to be honest, if I'm playing this game, I would finish it in very little time, I feel, because escape room games, the levels usually have so many items that are useless. And your levels are pretty empty. So you need to populate with more and more items in the game that players can interact with, but not necessarily have the answer or clue or the key to the next step. That's what makes it a challenging puzzle to find the right item to interact with. But for that, you need to populate you fill it up with garbage, with any items that decorate your home, basically.
Yeah, I can see that. I honestly, I fully agree with that. I struggle with that a little bit on the design there. I feel like there wasn't enough sometimes in the maps or the levels. Yeah, I totally get you on that.
Yep. Yeah, and that will definitely help with your. It will increase your gameplay hours, your playtime, and also make the game more challenging. ideally players should not be able to finish this game in little hours. Escape room games are usually clueless. You don't give out any hint, any clue whatsoever, and just let the player explore.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank all of you. I really appreciate all the feedback. Thank you.
Okay. If we are done with that, can I get all of the guest speakers to leave the stage and re-enter the stage with the next speaker? So let's all get off the stage. I will now introduce our next.
How do I get off the stage?
You just hover over your screen and you click the X button. You got it. Okay, perfect. So next I'll introduce he will be talking about the Spellblade trial.
There we go. Hello, everyone.
Perfect.
You can hear me, you can see me? I'll take that as a yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Lachance, and today I'm here to pitch my capstone project, the Spellblade Trial. Next slide, please. So before we get started with the project, here's a little bit about me. I studied in a few different fields, starting with graphic and web design, which I followed up with visual arts and then software development, before finally getting into game design. While I've had trouble deciding what I wanted to study before, I've always known I wanted to be involved with games, since it's a topic I've been passionate about all my life. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide. Sorry, can I be heard? Oh. Oops.
Can you please get on this?
Hi, everyone. Sorry, just give us a few minutes. We're just having some connectivity issues.
Eric, are you able to
Yes.
see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, do you want me to go back? I think I just lost
Yeah.
connection there. Yeah, okay, let's
just
go
back
back
one
and then
slide
I
would be
should be
perfect.
able to restore that. Okay, start again from here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. So where I left off is, just what are my inspirations? So being a passionate gamer has obviously led me to study game design. And I've always been drawn to games of various genres, from Pokemon, Rust, Slay the Spire, Civ, Arena Breakout. But in particular, the elements that always attracted me to games were the dynamic experiences they could provide. That compulsion loop that makes you want to grind and farm for progress, or the carefully considered layering of mechanics that create a complex experience for the player. The game that inspired me the most to become a game designer in the end was Dark and Darker. At the beginning, it was just an interesting game, but eventually I started to get invested in the complexities of builds and the various strategies for allocating stats. Eventually, I started to get very interested in the balancing of the game, especially how one small change to a weapon or a perk could change the entire meta or overall feel of the game. Next slide, please. But that's enough about me. It's time I start talking about my capstone. As someone who only started learning Unreal Engine fairly recently, my goal wasn't to simply make a game I could be proud of. I was more interested in being proud of what I'd learned during the process. For this reason, I specifically decided to make a game that differed greatly from all of my previous projects, but also one that had common systems seen in games today, so that I could learn how to implement them in the future. In particular, I wanted to implement a level, stats, and a quest system. Next slide, please. So what is the Spellblade Trial? It's a top-down hack-and-slash RPG, where the player is tasked with eradicating a goblin infestation. The player can move around, dash, and attack in the direction of the cursor. The character spawns in a safe zone, which leads to 3 different areas you can explore, each one containing a different kind of goblin with different breakdowns of stats. Killing one grants XP and gives the player a drop, which can be used to spend at the village to increase the player's stats. Once the player feels strong enough, he can go through the middle area, leading to a hidden 4th zone, containing even more dangerous goblins. Now that I've explained the game to you, here's a simplified timeline of the development process. So week 1 was spent all outside of Unreal Engine, just coming up with the ideas for the game, what it would look like, what it would be, what systems to include, allocating a priority to different tasks for completing the game. In week 2, I started working on the very basics, starting with the 3 C's, getting the camera angle right, the movement, the player speed, character camera controller. And I also started hunting around for a few immediately necessary assets, such as textures, models, and that was mostly for the player and weapons. Week 3, I started getting the basic HP system set up, damage, and tried to start tackling the combo attack, which ended up taking a long time. And then in week 4, I started putting more progress into the AI and the weapon tracing system, which proved to be quite challenging. And then finally in week 5, it was crunch time. A lot of stuff got pushed back. So a lot of time was spent, obviously polishing things, but also trying to complete a lot of systems in the last minute, such as the AI, getting the stat system to work, finalizing the HP and damage system, adding audio, and finally conducting player tests and, spending the rest of the time polishing, really. Next slide, please. So now that I've explained what my game is all about, please enjoy a short trailer that I made to showcase the in-game mechanics. All right, so I hope you all enjoyed that little trailer. As for the challenges and takeaways, there are a lot of issues with the project. It came up as I went along. But some of the challenges that really stuck out were setting up the AI. See, I had worked with AI before, but only on a very basic level. And learning the whole world of behavior trees ended up being a lot more complicated and time consuming than I thought, which ended up leading to a lot of revisiting the project scope and cutting things down. Another big challenge was the finding about the existence and necessity of a game instance blueprint in order to keep data between levels, such as the player's stats and HP, and in particular finding out about it so late and then needing to rebind all the variables and whatnot. And probably the biggest challenge was related to design versus the project scope. The game was initially planned around having more content, such as more enemy types, more areas, a boss monster. But over the course of the development process, I kept needing to revisit and reduce the scope of the project while trying to maintain the intended overall design of the prototype. And there were a lot of things I learned in the making of this project, but if I were to say what was most important, it would be the importance of organization, especially with files, so you know where everything is, to allocate time better in accordance with the project scope, since several features, details, and gameplay elements needed to be cut from the game in the end. And while other things ended up needing to be simplified. And finally, that it's extremely important to test often, especially with other people, since they're more likely to run into bugs you didn't and judge the game from a more objective point of view. Next slide, please. So following pitch day, I have several projects I want to work on myself. First and foremost, I want to spend more time refining the Spellblade trial, as there are many elements that aren't yet completed, as I mentioned before, and many others that need polishing, especially things like the UI or the quest system. I also plan on redoing the first project I ever did in Unreal, since the project itself had a lot of potential, but I was just very inexperienced in that time, and I'm confident I can make it much better. And finally, my girlfriend and I started working on a project together as well, since she's more on the artsy side and can take care of the 3D textures and all that stuff. And professionally speaking, I'll also be looking for employment and internship opportunities while working on these projects in order to keep my skills sharp and develop them further. Next slide, please. And thank you for listening to my presentation. Feel free to download the game on itch or reach out with any questions or feedback. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure why it won't let me turn my camera on right now, but can I invite the guest speakers now to come up on stage for 5 minutes of Q&A? Thank you so much, Eric, for your lovely presentation, and sorry about the little hiccups we had with the internet, but you did fantastic. So thank you so much.
Thank you. No worry, it happens.
Right. I guess I'll go first this time. So a great presentation, Eric. I don't really have any specific feedback. I think you presented your concept, your game overall very well. The trailer was a bit short. I was kind of engaged and hoping to see more, to be honest. But yeah, I am. Let me just go through a few things that I've written down. First of all, technical challenges, and it's not just you. I think a lot of almost everyone have mentioned technical challenges. Honestly, I would not worry about the challenges you guys are facing. To be honest, us as an industry have faced all of these challenges. So you will always find some solution to the problem you're facing. You just need to reach out to people. Just need to talk to everyone. You can post online and someone will answer that. Okay, yeah, here's your solution. It's more about the design challenges that you face and you need to address. That's more important. And this being a game design course, I think it's more important to focus more on the game design aspects, not on the technical challenges. They will always be there, but so will be the solutions. For your game specifically, it's an RPG. I think you will end up if you're going to develop this further, important is to build systems in your game, and the content can come later. Like you can build content afterwards, but system design will be more important than adding content. Yeah, and lastly, yes, game development overall is a team effort. A single person can do that, but working with team collaboratively is always better. So yes, good luck with it. I hope you guys build a good team and make a good game. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because, well, first of all, I would have loved to see more of this because I thought, yeah, as Emmett was saying, I think the game looked really interesting. The pitch was super clear, and it's really interesting to me the way you put it together, because it shows me it's not a case of, oh, I want to like buy this game and like help develop it like as a company. It's more oh, this guy knows how to design a system. It really shows more, like it highlights your skill as a systems designer more than just selling the game itself. And that's always what I'm going to focus on, because like I design systems, so that's my thing, right? But immediately when you talked about balancing as an inspiration in Dark and Darker, I was like, oh, this guy's a min-maxer, right? Like it's obvious. I would say if you show like the games that you were inspired by, I was expecting something like Dark and Darker, but then it looked more like a mash of like Dungeon Siege and Ball Pit, for example. You know, like it's like select upgrades and stuff like that. That system, if you can pitch something like, especially again the design document, right? If you make a portfolio, if you focus on that and you can document properly the interactions between these systems. And I know right now it's like outside of the pitch aspect, right? It's really just specifically on that, like to highlight you and just show like what you can do. I would really focus on that because that's a very valuable skill.
Okay.
Just show like this systems design and balancing design aspect. That's something that juniors don't do a lot of because it's really hard, but you seem to have a good grasp on it. So if you really want to focus on that, this is great. And I really like that you mentioned also, just to finish on that you mentioned test often and play test early, because I still struggle with that. Like it's still hard. And every time I don't test my feature ASAP as soon as it's in the build, something happens. So I'm really glad that that was your lesson. You learned earlier than me. So that's good.
Thank you. I do wish I learned a little bit earlier, even so.
And I really think you bounced back quite well, even with the technical difficulties at the beginning. So well done. And I just say yes to what everybody else said. And just like, again, being a designer at heart, I just wanted, like, I can tell that you're into design as well. And I really love the logo, the Spellblade logo. I can tell you spent some time on it. That's sweet.
Actually, my girlfriend did that.
Oh, your girlfriend? Well, just buying her dinner. Yeah, I think it turned out really nice. And that seems like it just elevates what people are expecting. I think logos are really like the door that what people are thinking they're going to walk into. And I also wanted to say good choice of audio. And again, I also have to chime in, like that clip was way too short. I wanted to get me kill something, like get me in there, let's get dirty. I also appreciated how smooth your pitch deck was, and how you kept it really succinct to what it is that you were trying to explain, along with showing your own personality. So I think those two variables are really quite important. I know, because I think we're all like in the pitch deck world, or a part of it, or been in one. So yeah, I just kudos to you. Looking forward to seeing what you do next.
All right, thank you. And thank you so much, everyone, for your awesome feedback.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for the feedback. And Eric, awesome presentation. That was lovely. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for doing that. Okay, now we have Aiden, who's going to be presenting Granny Gladiators. Can you come up on stage, Aiden? Awesome. Start
Can you
with
hear me? Okay, perfect. Yeah. So yeah, I'm doing Granny Gladiators. Next slide. Yeah, my name is Aiden Cowan. Some fun facts about me before I start. I actually used to work at Behavior Interactive in their sales department, doing gamification in the non-gaming space. And I was looking around at all the developers and what everyone else was doing, and I thought I should probably make the change and do that. And I was also academic All-Canadian, played varsity football in university. Next slide. So a little bit about the game, Granny Gladiators. It's a third-person kind of action-oriented exploration roguelike with a card battler built in. It kind of adds a stress-inducing search throughout the old folks' home to gather as many items for a deck that you build throughout the game. And then it's followed by a kind of card battler similar to Slay the Spire that you progress up through different floors of the game. Next slide, please. So a little inspiration for my idea. It took 60 seconds. At the beginning of 60 seconds, you have 60 seconds to run around and get as many items as you can before these nuclear bombs drop. So that's kind of like the first half of the game that kind of inspired me. Second half, Slay the Spire, the whole deck building game. The combat will look a lot like that. Goat Simulator. I like it's a pretty funny, humorous game, so I take a lot of the humor from there and the physics and kind of the campy feel, and then the Binding of Isaac as well. It's one of my favorite games and a lot of replayability, so I wanted to incorporate some of those elements and kind of the darker undertones into that as well. Next slide. So for the narrative, the story of Granny Gladiators, you just got put into a home by your family. Turns out after your first night there, there's kind of a dark secret. There's been a fight club going on the whole time. And you find out that the winners get to move up floors, get better access to kind of amenities and care in the facility. Each floor is restricted to better combats, better residents who are better at fighting. And you'll use all the items that you scrounge and steal from people's rooms to kind of build that deck and progress through the game. In this first build of the game, however, and I'll talk about it a bit later too, I could only build the first part, kind of like the 60 seconds part where you go around and steal everyone's items, just because I just discovered scope creep is a pretty big thing. But yeah, it'll just be the kind of spelunking and stealing of the people's items. Next slide, please. So for the core mechanics, you can see here, hopefully, is I have a security guard that kind of chases the player around, adds a bit of dynamic elements there for hiding from them. Deck building, obviously, to progress through the game, item pickup, and inventory management. And I'll talk a bit more on the next slide, please. So yeah, my core mechanics, random item spawns allows for replayability, unpredictability, and kind of in those future attempts when you play the game. Again, the security guard, dynamic obstacle for the player to overcome and avoid. It throws a bit of chaos into the mix. You never know where they're going to pop up. Kind of throws a wrench into your plans there if it throws you in jail. Inventory management. So after doing a couple runs, you'll know what items to take and what you should probably leave behind based on the builds you want to do. And as well, the deck builder kind of ties into that. So you'll be able to kind of create unique builds after each attempt. And again, that adds that tension because you'll know what you should take, what you shouldn't take. And with the timer there, you can see in the bottom right, once that runs out, you're kind of stuck with what you got. So you'll have to fight with that. Next slide. So for my development pipeline, I kind of took around 5 weeks to come up with this. I actually had the idea a couple months before, but I kind of put it on the back burner. But from concept creation on the week one, I was just kind of thinking about the core mechanics. What do they need to do? Looked at some player models and made a kind of gray box level layout. Week two, I progressed it a bit more, made the full level. I made the major coding, so that would be the inventory, the item spawning, item pickup, kind of the core mechanics there. Week three, I added minor coding and found assets on Fab. So minor mechanics would be like the sprints, sounds, Niagaras, things to make it kind of feel like a real game. Looked in Fab a bit more as well. And on that week, I decided to cut the card battler just because I found it was a lot to add with only around 2 weeks left before I had to have the final part done. Week four, I did widgets, menus, play tests, moved into creating a pause menu, just make it a bit more user friendly. Tested it with my friends that would come over and play it, got their feedback. And then last week was all polish, working on the final version, and then creating a small kind of mini game to figure out what to do since I didn't have the card battler in there. Next slide, please. So here's a little demo video. And again, once the timer runs out in the full game, you'll just go into the combat part. But in this one, it just kind of ends.
I gotta record myself.
I've got news for you. You're mine now. You belong to me. I've got news for you. You're mine now. I've got news for you. You're mine now. You belong to me. I've got news for you. You're mine now. You belong to me. I've got news for you. You're mine now. You belong to me.
Most action I've got in 30 years. Wait a minute. This isn't my room. Back in my day, we had what did we have? Grandpa. Well, twist my tips and call me Susan. That was a doozy.
Yeah. So for my takeaways, the results I found I had a pretty polished version of what the first part of each level would feel like. My inventory system felt pretty good. Item pickups felt pretty good. Roaming NPCs and enemies were all there, and I had some fun experimenting with some sound design. Challenges, obviously, my biggest one was the project scope and having to cut that part of the game out, at least for the prototype. Bringing those items back to your room was supposed to be kind of like the deck builder where you throw everything in there and it would convert them items into cards that you'd use in the fights. Then I realized as a solo dev with the deadlines, it was kind of a lot to have what felt like kind of two games going on at the same time there. So I thought instead of having kind of two half-baked, unpolished games, I just have one fully polished version or like pillar of the game that I could really show off. Next slide, please. So next steps for Granny Gladiators, I like to get that deck builder or card battler implemented into the game, proper NPCs and items models. A lot of those were placeholders that you could probably see, and adding kind of next levels and floors to make the game a bit more fleshed out. And then after this, I'm looking for full-time game dev employment, whether that's game design, level design, or environmental design. Next slide. Thank you. Yeah, so here's my email and my LinkedIn if you'd like to get in touch with me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Aiden. Every time I watch that demo video, it cracks me up in the best way. I love it so much. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks.
And I will get all of the guest speakers to come up on stage and give their feedback, ask their Q&A. We have 5 minutes whenever you guys are ready.
Yeah, I think it's a great decision that you made to cut the deck builder aspect, because when you started talking about your idea, I was like, oh, this would work great as a card game, right? And then you talked about the deck builder aspect, and it felt a bit like two games mashed together. So I think just the 3D like action aspect works really well. Would totally focus on that. This seems like the kind of game that could benefit from like a big like online multiplayer aspect and like proximity chat, or like to lean into like the like funny aspect of it. I think that works really well. In terms of presentation, it was a bit too wordy in the beginning. Lots of long sentences, lots of text on the screen. Otherwise I think it works well. Yeah, you can lean into a bit more into because it didn't feel like I understood well like what type of gameplay you wanted to go for other than it's funny. So that's fine. You can absolutely lean on that. So really focus on the multiplayer aspect, like the battle aspect with other people. This is the kind of game that you want to play with people, right? It's way more fun. It's funnier to stream, stuff like that. So I think that's a really good pitch for that. Tiny detail to finish, don't use AI if you have to do slides, if you have like certain images. Your grandpa, first of all, it's Granny Gladiator and it's grandpa's on the image. It doesn't fit the style. One of your grandpas has 6 fingers. It's just really frowned upon in the industry in general, like the use of AI. It's a bit like it just doesn't it doesn't reflect, it reflect poorly, basically, and that doesn't really convey what you're going for. But other than that, I think it works pretty well. Yeah, it was really, really, really fun, honestly.
Cool, thank you.
All right, I'll go next if that's okay. Yes, Aiden, there are no grannies in your game. Just you need to add grannies, please. But yes, I think even in the narrative, you have one screenshot. So during the narrative, you talked about like this is like a fight club. I was kind of hoping Fight Club. It wasn't a Fight Club. I was looking at the screenshot, which was giving me a vibe of like a horror game. So yeah, there's a bit of concept mismatch going on, which you can address. The demo felt a bit. I felt like you need a bigger level design, like bigger rooms, bigger hallway. You keep on bumping into stuff. I don't know what the green yellow characters were. Were the guards? I wasn't sure. If they were guards, they are not following you. They are not chasing you around. So there's that. There's a very old game based on Home Alone, and it's basically you're running through the home, collecting items and then throwing it towards the thieves. That's basically it. That's the concept. Your game felt like it's trying to do something similar, and it's okay. You can have an inventory system. You can collect items and throw at thieves, and that can be the game, and it will be a fun game to play. You don't have to build like too many features. You don't have to go over scope your game. Simple mechanics are usually always fun. So yeah, you did mention about the scope creep challenges. So yes, let me address that. It's true whether you're a single, excuse me. Yeah, it's true whether you're a single developer or working in a team, scope creep always happens. So be realistic with your scope. Be realistic with like how much you can achieve. Freeze your scope and never change it. build small features and deliver them before you move on to the next one. Some of the project management tools like Trello, Kanban board will help you achieve that. And also you can create like a simple project roadmap. Just list out your features in 3 sections, now, next, and later. So whatever you're working on, whatever is most important goes into now, whatever you'll create next goes into next, and later is something that you will not touch for a long time. And yeah, that will, I think, will really help you manage your scope. And yeah, that's it. Overall, it looked like a fun game. Reminds me of that old game I played before. So good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, what can I say? There's, yeah, I wanted the grannies too. I wanted to see like a really heavy granny, and like, I think it's time to go to a retirement home and spend a day there. And I'm just listening, and I loved it. Apart, like, I think you've infused some of that. Is like, this is not my room. And a couple of those, and so when you threw those hooks in there, that's what grounded me back to the grannies. And I agree that it was very, I couldn't carry with your theme, even with the flatulence, that with the fireball, like I love that you used humor. First of all, I use humor and whimsy in a lot of my work, and I call it cheekiness on the verge of like not being rude, and something that you can still share your mom. But again, it's all who this is for. You can take it up. But I wish there was a way that you could have some kind of empathy for the character, because right away you're being shoved away. And, if there was an opportunity to have some kind of, previous little bit of a video of how like they feel lonely and they're looking out there, so we can really feel like what that character is like. It's like, and they're all alone, and now they everybody's jacking their stuff, and I really love that concept, by the way. I thought that was really great. And in your NPCs, I'm just curious how they would get involved as well, and maybe deter or help the character themselves, especially when they need medication and it would only be in a certain room or something. I don't know. That's usually how it goes in those homes. It's not readily available unless somebody's stashing it, and then you have another character who you can get medicine from, right? Who's been stashing it. See, I'm already thinking ahead here. But I really liked it. In regards to your pitch deck, I just have to say the same things. Your videos were going off at the same time. So by the time we got to actually you were talking about them, they had completed. I don't know if it's possible to make like a quick animated GIF or something, just on some of the points that you're just trying to share. But because I know file size is gets in the way. But anyway, I just really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see what you do next. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just go on Sketchfab and find some old, there's a lot of models on there, and there's some of them that are really quite amazing. So I think there's lots of opportunity.
Yeah, thanks so much. I think my biggest struggle was finding the grannies. I looked everywhere online, and I just could not find some models. That's what the green and yellow models, those are supposed to be residents, and then the blue and red one was a security guard.
Fair struggle.
Yeah, that was I don't know. I was like losing my mind. I couldn't find anything. But yeah, thank you so much for the feedback, guys.
Hey, quickly, I want to mention that yes, I understand Stephanie's point that we don't really like the use of AI, but it's more like we don't really like to see or catch the use of AI. So if you can get away with it, like
if I can't tell, it's not gonna be an issue.
Yeah. Use AI. It's gonna speed up your work, and it's gonna help you a lot for sure. But don't get caught. That's it.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
good
your
advice.
feedback,
Thank
guest speakers, and Aiden as well. That was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your pitch. I will now get the next speaker up here, which is Devin. Devin will be presenting Forest Frontiers.
Hello.
Start whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Hello.
Welcome to my game, Forest Frontiers. Next slide, please. So just a little bit about myself. I'm a graduate of OCAD University and Sheridan College, and I've worked as a motion graphics artist and a 3D layout artist in VFX and animation for the past 10 years, and now I'm trying to pivot. Next slide. So, so my game Forest Frontiers is sort of something I wanted to build to make a sandbox for myself that I could continue to revisit and develop later on. The prototype itself focuses mostly on the environment, setting, as well as the AI for the creature, which is still currently in development. Next slide. So in general, the premise is that you are sent to this lumber camp in the 1930s, and you're a new laborer, and you are basically going to arrive, get trained, and as you move through this world, you begin to realize that things are a little weird there. So this is the camp's foreman. He's the first character I made. He will be the first character that the player meets. He comes across as charismatic and friendly, and he's a bit of a drunk, and he hides a lot of secrets. To counter him is the next character, Winslow. It's kind of based off of Robert Pattinson's character from The Lighthouse. He does not trust Red, and he has been on the island for just as long as Red has. There are other characters that I would like to develop, but I have not had time to fully flesh that out. Next slide. So again, as you progress through the levels and you learn more and more, you learn about this man's obsession with the occult and what he has found on the island and the island's history itself, that it used to have a mine that has since caved in and harbors a very terrifying artifact of ancient origin. Let's see. So in general, I had a lot of ideas when coming up with this, and some of them did conflict. I kind of like the idea of it being a stealth horror, but also a work sim where you have to just live out your day as a lumberjack, do your tasks, but also in the meantime, find time to search the island, look for clues, and look for what is really happening in this place. So the gameplay loop will be going to bed, eating, working, exploring, investigating your camp, discussing things with your coworkers, gaining allies or ignoring them, as well as social things like drinking, also collecting health, alcohol, etc., and stealing. So my inspirations for this game, especially for the Bigfoot AI, come from Resident Evil 2, especially Mr. X, as well as Alien Isolation itself was a big influence for me. The AI that I have developed is still a little janky, so it's not at that level yet, but I would like to get it to the point of it being on par with Alien. When it comes to world building, I referenced Eternal Darkness quite heavily. It is a very niche game. I don't know how many people even know about it. And when it comes to dialogue and narrative-driven quests, as well as mundane work, I really reference Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That game did a really effective job at making these like really mundane tasks work with narrative building. So setting and art direction, this is the island I have built. So many of the assets do come from Fab, but for the most part, they have been heavily edited. Same with the buildings themselves have textures that come from Fabs, but those were built myself. And a couple assets were built in Blender. This church, for instance, was built in Blender. This is an interior of the foreman's cabin. I really wanted to make his space a little more lived in, a little more, not grandiose, but clearly better than the other barracks for the workers. So this is some illustrations I did for a previous project. When it came to doing this project, I kind of leaned into that one as well because I wanted it to be a continuation of the world and the story, and it kind of gave me something to jump off of. So I plan to continue this and kind of build on it, and maybe even have it go through different time periods. I just wanted to revisit these illustrations as well. Initially, that demo was like about 9 minutes long, so I'm sorry that it looked very fast and I had to just run through it all, but there's generally a lot more to look at as well. So I had quite a few challenges for this, and I don't really know where to start. I'm still developing the AI. Bigfoot tends to give up quite early, and he'll just kind of wander around. It's kind of unpredictable in that way and can kind of lead to some really weird moments, but it still needs a lot of work. Another thing is that I wanted to put in like a whole scene in the mess hall where there's like people lying around and that there's someone still alive, and that you can approach him and he will tell you more information about what is happening on the island. Unfortunately, I could not find any like dying animation, and I couldn't get metahumans to work properly for that, so I had to settle for just using text. But I would really, really like to add more when it comes to like NPCs. yeah, there's still more to talk about, really. When it comes to the environment too, if I had to go back to it, I would definitely change how it's laid out to make it a lot more easier for the player to like just go straight into it. I have not given a lot of cues to the player, so it is really on them to figure it out where to go. And I really want to encourage them to wander around and just look at stuff. So yeah, thank you for watching this presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Devin. And thank you for cutting the video down to 2 minutes 30 seconds. It looked amazing. And yeah, I'll welcome the guest speakers now to come on stage and do 5 minutes of Q&A.
Very clear hook, one sentence, really. It's all you needed. It was very clear to me from the beginning what your game was. That was awesome. I would put the game pillars and the genre first instead of exploring a bit your characters and like the art behind them. It looked awesome, but I would just start with that. Just lay it out super clear that way. In your pitch at the beginning, you mentioned having like funny bits and stuff like that. I did not get that at all, but then I looked down and I saw your character ragdolled on the floor, and that really made me laugh. But I didn't see, I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but that was really funny. And I did not get any more of that after. I would have loved to have like some more funny bits. And then I assumed you meant more like in the dialogues and the story, because Kingdom Come is very like that's where it is, right? It's
Yes.
yeah, okay. So that's what I expected, because you mentioned Eternal Darkness, which is really heavy and dark. Like, so I'm like, oh, that's not a funny one, you know? So
It really isn't.
yeah. So I was expecting more of like the funny bits if you were going to mention it, or just, you know, keep it as a surprise. That's always fun when you just add it as a bit of an Easter egg part and you have just a scary game.
It's true. I didn't really want to focus too much on the humor aspect of it.
That's super fair. No, that's super fair. I like the use of all the slangs and feedback again in your interactions. It was pretty clear the use of text on the screen to tell a story and help you know what to do. I really like that. It's really straightforward. It works really well. I would love to know more about the gameplay aspect, because in your prototype you ran right by a shotgun and did not grab it. So if you don't have that already, at least put a string of like, damn, I don't have any bullets. Okay, that's why I'm not grabbing this shotgun. Because otherwise, like, I was like, oh man, you know, like I want to know why as a character you have Sasquatch following you. And first of all, you don't close the door and you go straight in and you don't catch the gun. So, you know, just like details like that. But if that's what I'm complaining about, it means it's a great pitch. That was awesome.
Cool. I'm glad then. And yeah, I do. The gun was definitely put there for the future, really, because really, I do actually want players to be able to use that, even if it's like a really janky gun that doesn't really do a whole lot. It'll add to the whole feel of it. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'll go next. It was a real joy to watch. I felt okay. I love the ambiance and the weather. Like, I'm there, I'm cold, I need to put on a sweater already. Like, and I really, really love the look back sequences. Like, all of a sudden we're like, doo-doo-doo, or experimenting, and all of a sudden, like, something's gonna after us, and the running, and then the looking back. Right, because that's what we all do as humans. Like, did I lose them, or you know? So I thought that was really effective, and yeah, I guess there's so much running between the buildings. It feels like they're running like a football field. For me, I don't know. I guess it's that we want it right away kind of thing.
It is a pretty huge map, to be honest. So you can potentially get very lost on it. There were people who did get lost on the island when we were doing playtesting. But in general, if you were to just race through it all, you can finish it in 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. Because I was just curious if you could like bring up a map. I'm like, you are here, because it is quite widespread and there's a lot going on. But like an Ashron's Call kind of thing, like it can be, it's growing and everything else. Like, I don't know, it's just, it really can get really detailed. But yeah, I really appreciated the small little notes and it looked very beautiful and I felt really engaged right away. And I know you cut it down and thank you for that. But because we would be feeling like we were invested truly in the game. And I did feel that way so I think great pitch overall, really excited for you. I think you've got a great idea here.
Yes, thank you, Devin, for presenting this concept, the demo. It is, see, horror genre, I think by default, it really grips the player's attention. It has suspense, it has like kind of a virality, because I'm watching you play this demo and I had the same thought Stephanie had. Why didn't you close the door? Why didn't you pick up the gun? So that's these elements really grip the player and the viewer, and so that's why this is an evergreen, successful genre. I don't really have any specific feedback, to be honest. I really enjoyed the demo. I was hoping to see the foreman in the game because, like I said before, the characters really connect.
But he's dead.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, though.
Yes. So the characters will really, allow the players to connect to the game, to the story. So do add characters, do add narrative, dialogues, everything. I think I understand this was a demo, but there is a lot of potential in this game, in this concept, and you can add a lot. So my suggestion to you would be to just make a list of things that you want to do. Just put up an Excel sheet and make a list of all the features, all the tasks that you want to do, prioritize them, and do some project management stuff. Use Trello or whatever, and do things one at a time and deliver that. Otherwise, the concept is really good. You can really develop a good game out of it.
Okay, thank you. There is definitely like a lot to work on and build on. It's quite overwhelming, but I thank you for that feedback. That actually is very encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely. If you need help or advice on like how to manage your tasks, your work, and any one of the presenters, just reach out, any one of us, and we will. I'm sure everybody will be here to help you out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, guest speakers, and thank you so much, Devin, for your presentation. That was awesome. Okay, let's move on to our last group. And that is our group of 3 that will be presenting today. And that is Owen, we have Nicola, and we have Emmanuel. Please come on stage and whenever you're ready.
Sweet. Hello, everyone. Are we ready yet? Hold on, we'll just 1 second. some technical difficulties. We can't hear your microphone, Nico. I cannot.
Make works.
Hi guys, is anybody else able to start off the presentation? You guys might have to try a different browser. Sometimes the camera stops working or the microphone stops working. Chrome works best.
Does my mic work at least?
Yes, it does work. I
Okay,
can hear you.
all right.
Sweet. So we at least have that. That's good. If you don't mind, we'll give it like another minute or two just to see if Nico's mic works.
Hi. Is it working now?
Let's
Yes.
go.
Okay,
Okay.
start whenever.
I have no idea what I did to get that to work, but
It's working. We're here.
that's what matters.
Cool. All right. Sorry for no camera.
So I'm so sorry, guys, for the issues, but we're here to present our game, Dead Mice. First, to go through a little bit of who our team is. So next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Owen Sharon. I'm one of the game designers and the music designer for the team.
Hello, I'm Emmanuel Charample. I'm a game designer, more focused on the technical gameplay elements, and I'm the main programmer.
Hi, I'm Nicholas Pelaya, and I'm one of the game designers and also the media strategist for this project. And we also do have a fourth person called Max Clover, who is our visual artist, and soon you guys will be seeing the art that they designed for our project. And I bet you're wondering, what exactly is this project? So here comes to the next slide. Dead Mice is an auto shooter roguelike with bullet hell that shifts camera perspectives to interact with a 3D world through a more 2D perspective. In this the idea here is that you'll be playing as a cat, going to a rave, having the time of your life, and then facing the worst possible scenario, a zombie apocalypse of zombie mice. I'm so sorry if any of you have cats who heard this, but that is the main idea for this game. So we'll be combining the dynamic perspective changes of Fez with the combat action of Brotato, and it will be putting all of this on blast and on a great beat. It will be for PC, and we'll be centering the rave themes that we mentioned with some sick music made all by Owen. So next. As I mentioned, one of our references is Fez, and that is where we're taking the idea of playing around with perspective and also how to engage with 3D elements in a 2D world or with some 2D elements in a 3D world, which you'll see a little bit more once you reach our demo. And then from Brotato, we're taking a similar shop style and also the general gameplay that's full packed with action and very entertaining. And a third one that we didn't mention earlier is BPM, where everything is done on the beat of the song that's playing, which is something that we're also going to be taking inspiration from to really immerse the player in this rave environment. Next.
Now, for how we actually turn those elements into gameplay elements. Yeah. So for perspective changing, we won't have it as complex as Fez since that's not the focus of the game, but we still wanted to play around with what we can actually do with that, a 2D view of a 3D world. Our main thing is we can hide enemies with that. And yeah, we had different ideas for what we can do. Now for the shop, it's one of the most important things of a roguelike. The player can have up to 6 weapons, and the weapons are not just for attacking. They're also give buffs. So think about it like you could have one weapon that gives a lot of attack damage and everything, and another weapon that actually deals the attacks. And you can create cool combos with that. Shops only have a few options, and there's rerolls. You have enchantments on items that you can get. There's also little small permanent upgrades that you get so that you always progress even if you don't find any good items. And there's the enemy playlist, which allows you to choose what types of enemies you want in the level so you can get something that works well with your build. And you can choose harder enemies that drop more money if you want to be greedy like that. We don't have the enemy playlist in the MVP, but still. We really care about the music for the game and the sounds because, well, it's rave themed. We wanted to get it right. The attacks are on the beat, precisely calculated to be on the beat. And different weapons have different sound effects that even add to the music. We really wanted to just have fun with that because you're in a rave. So yeah, next. Let's see a more
everyone.
recent clip
I'm
of
very
the game.
excited to show
Here's
the
the
current
MVP.
state of the demo for Dead Mice. This is the current state of the main menu. Owen was the one to work on this. We wanted a lot of interactability with the menu, and I think he pulled it off like really well. Here we can see the start of a fresh run. You can see the combat, it automatically attacks. Enemies try to pathfind to the player to defeat them. As you can hear, the music's pretty awesome. It's original music produced by Owen. The player will get money from enemies, and after enough time, an enemy will drop a key, which will allow the player to leave through an orange door, if they find one in time. After that, they can actually spend their money in the shop. Here we have the shop. There's lots of things the player can buy. The player will have to be smart with their money to progress faster than the game is scaling up its difficulty. Weapons in the shop can also have enchantments, as you can see here. This one increases the range of all weapons. The map that the player is walking around is actually procedurally generated. We have a handful of different pieces that all get joined together to create the ground. Those level pieces have a bunch of spawn points on them, so we can spawn enemies, we can spawn other things. For now, we just have chests that give money to encourage the player to actually explore around the level. though we're planning for more reasons to explore around the level because we don't want it to just be sit around and wait until the music's over. And that's about it. Thanks for joining me on this quick demo of the prototype for Dead Mice.
The process always begins with an idea. We started with the main mechanic that we wanted, and which was the shifting camera, and we built off of it, combining ideas such as attacks on time with music. In that playground phase, we made sure to define exactly what we would want to do with our MVP. Sprint 1 was building up the core of the game, cleaning up the camera, shifting, and getting more into the auto shooter vampire survivor style game that we wanted. This is also when we started building our media strategies. Sprint 2 brought us more of the artistic side, creating the actual art for the game, character models and weapons, and music, sound effects, and overall design. In the final sprint, we had gotten the bones of the game built up, and we started to see the game come together a little bit with the addition of the shop and a close to our game loop involving the key and the door, which brings the shop. Next, please. Our challenges. The main challenge we had creating was inside the core of the game and making sure that it was solid. Mainly, it would be fun and entertaining. The timing of the attacks with the music came with the challenges with the timing of the attacks was translating it into the blueprints and making sure all the timing was correct. Outside of the game, the challenge we had was mainly sticking to our MVP. And making sure that we were steady on our creation and everything was going to be on time. As for our takeaways, our main takeaway was our teamwork. We found that we actually worked very, very well together as a team, being patient with each other and trusting the work that we would create. And the flow of ideas was something that we worked on a lot, and making sure it was kind of improv and that we could build off of each other. It was a good environment for creativity. And also creating that timeline and making sure that we were sticking to it. Next, please.
And now for our next steps. We are not done with this project, and we are intending to take this all the way to the end. So by late 2025, so in the next coming 2 months, we want to add a couple of additional levels, improve a little bit more the UI UX main menu, add the enemy playlist that was mentioned earlier, and then also start implementing the funding and media strategy, which will take place mainly on Kickstarter, but also looking towards social media to start engaging with our potential player base, which will be mostly Gen Z. And by early and mid 2026, we want to do a little bit more polishing with some testing and bug fixing, additional changes based on what we get from having players engage with the demo that will be available on the Kickstarter. And then also designing additional weapons, enemies, and then also working on game porting and licensing. And then hopefully, if all goes well, we are going to be planning for a late 2026 release. And next. So yeah, thank you so much for your guys' time and attention. And again, sorry for the technical difficulties in the beginning. And here's our contact information.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Owen, Nicola, and Emmanuel for your presentation. I will now just get the guest speakers to come up for a quick Q&A before we wrap up.
Who wants to go first?
Right. I'll go first, please. Great job to all four of you. I think you've covered a lot of ground, and it's a very ambitious project, especially when you're trying to combine multiple core mechanics. I will speak for one specific mechanic, which is the roguelike game. You said it's bullet hell. So let me kind of clarify the difference between a bullet hell and bullet heaven. Bullet hell is when a lot of enemies shooting bullets at you, and you have to dodge, avoid, or defend yourself, and then clear the level. Bullet heaven is a feeling of the utmost power that your character can have, and shoot bullets in every direction and clear out so many enemies at once. And that's what Vampire Survivor is. So that's the key difference. If you're trying to create an experience like Vampire Survivor, you need to find ways to make the player feel empowered. It will start with a big struggle. Every level will start with a big struggle. You don't have that many weapons, you don't have that much power, and you're just starting basic. But as the level as the level progresses, you will encounter more and difficult enemies, and you will also gain a lot of power, a lot of weapons, skills, etc., to make you feel like the strongest person on that stage. And that's what the bullet heaven is, the experience it's delivering. So try to create that experience and focus on that. I think that will really help you with this game. Other than that, I think that's all from my end. I'll let others speak.
Yeah. First of all, the sense of identity of your project is crazy. Like, this is very, very advanced, super developed. It was very obvious from the beginning what we were in for. Really like that. Again, a bit too wordy, a bit too much text. I don't want to read. I know how to read, but I don't like to do it when I have a presentation like that. I feel like you mentioned roguelike like 4 slides in, and I would have loved to see that sooner. And I'm gonna do a bit like Amit did, and I'm just gonna do a quick roguelike versus roguelite. Your game is a roguelite. It's not a roguelike. Roguelike
They
is
don't have meta progression though.
they do, but what I was gonna say is that roguelike will have turn-based combat, which is not your case. It is a roguelite because it's not everything is, the way I understood it, not everything is fully procedural. Like, you have some fixed elements in your game, or is everything randomized?
Well, depends on how like specific you want to go with it, because there's still like the specific blocks with like the specific elements at places, but generally it's random.
Okay, so yeah, you had this slide where you were talking about the your pillars, right? It was still a lot of text, and you mentioned when you were talking about it, you were talking about like the rogue elements, but it wasn't anywhere on the slide. I would have loved just like, here are our 3 pillars, like in one of the first 2 slides: perspective, roguelite, beats. Like, this is very straightforward, and to me, this is what your game is. I would have been super clear. And I think other than that, like, it's very, very straightforward. It's just like the way you present the information. It's really basic, but you have such a solid identity and gameplay. And I saw it like with the stuff that you chose, like in the shop and everything, like everything is there gameplay wise, and the balancing wise, your systems work really well together. But it looks a bit chaotic the way you present it. And your game is not chaotic. It's very like thought out. It's very intentional. And that was really, really good. So yeah, that's really just my biggest gripe with it. And it's very minimal, because otherwise it's a solid game. Like, that you had the time to do all of that is crazy to me. So very, very good.
Okay, well, first of all, I commend you on having a really good connection with your team members. You can feel that there's a real harmony, and kudos to your artist. I really like the look. It's really great. A couple of things. I have really had trouble hearing Owen's music, maybe because the commentary was over, and then there's the level of gameplay, and then obviously the music is at a lower level. So, but I was really looking forward to hearing your beats there. But I really thank you, Amit, for talking about the bullet hell. Oh my God, goodness, pardon me. And I just felt like the character was holding like the world on their shoulders of like goodies and whatever. And I just remember, just what was that? Okay. I'm a gamer's widow, what they would call. Like I would be there shoving the food in front of everybody who's playing games and I'm watching them, right? So you've got somebody who's like that there, so gotta eat. So I guess for me, it was just so overpowering. Like, and I was glad that you asked, like, are these encounters randomized and so forth? So that was really good because it felt like overwhelmed. Like it wasn't feeling like winning. It just felt soulless. It's just like I'm just pulling the trigger. That's all I'm doing, right? And I guess for me, I'm wanting to have exactly that soul tension to give it some soul. Like I wanna champion for our character, and I didn't feel that. I guess I wanted a tiny bit more empathy backstory that, you know, make me feel like whatever, you know, let me be, I don't know, we want to embody more of the emotions of why are we doing this, right? So I don't know, I think it's a lot of fun, and I like that there's, you know, you can upgrade stuff. So anyway, thank you so much. I'm just keep going. That's what I gotta say.
Awesome. Thank you for that amazing feedback and being such great guest speakers today. I just want to say a huge thank you to you guys for taking the time out of your busy lives to give this feedback to the students. We really appreciate it, and we know that they greatly get a lot of output out of this. So thank you so much. And I also want to welcome all of the students on stage again, and I just want to say a huge congratulations to everybody for graduating and completing their boot camp. I'm really proud of all of you. I know how much hard work you put into this, and each and every one of you is so unique and special. I hope you know that. And yeah, I'll just quickly pass it to Manor before we say bye.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you to Stephanie, Amit, and Bea for all of your insights that you've shared with our graduates. I'm sure they're going to take all this feedback and implement it into their game to make it an even better product. But they had 4 weeks to do this, which always just blows my mind. Like, how are you guys able to accomplish that in a span of 1 month? But for those of you who are here and you guys are not partners with us, we have several opportunities for you guys to join us as partners. So that could be things like, you know, speaking at events like we had the guest speakers here today, doing AMAs, or even hiring some of our talent. If you guys have any sort of internship opportunities for our students, that would be super great. So I'll be in touch with all of you guys after, but please send me any questions that you may have. My email is just right here on the screen, which is partnerships@circusstreet.com. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for attending today, everyone. And it was such a wonderful pitch day. I will reach out to you all soon, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Good luck, everyone.